morning. I swear a lot.
Hello friends and welcome back to Limbus Company. No screwing around this time. We're going directly, immediately, straight back into Nocturnal Sweeping. Fun, embarrassing detail. When I was putting up the last video, you know, writing stuff and putting in tags and whatever, I couldn't remember what the intervalo was called. Because I never actually looked at the fucking name. I was just like, yeah, it's the sweeper one. What's it called? The sweeper one. Oh, it's called the sweeper one, obviously. Nocturnal Sweeping. I'll need to keep that in mind.
제가 원하는 대로 베어버려도 되나요?
Whatever we're up against, though, we're going to absolutely fucking body it with this insane team of badasses. No problems. Deep resentment ought to be washed away. For when the far one comes betwixt the burning doors, shall a star fall astray. That's probably how the song goes, right? This is good stuff. I'm putting it in the next Velvet Dead album. Are you sure we're going the right way? I don't like the sound of those weird songs. Don't worry, Sinclair. Once you see us live, you'll warm up to it. The main streets are most likely teeming with those seeking to bring harm to the young master. We must venture an alternative path. And like he said, there weren't any skirmishes once we made it deeper into the dark alleyways, which is suspicious. The lack of foot traffic would normally be pretty unsettling, but I guess that's what we needed at this moment. As for the song, it's a song that's become rather popular in the backstreets in the recent months. Catchy, isn't it? The lyrics are pretty, ominous for a popular song. It is a song that spread through word of mouth. It sings of how the decimated Kong family... this is another place to discuss such matters. I will share the tale in a more appropriate setting later, should we come across it. You won't survive that long, bruv. I don't know how to tell you this, but you won't. Oh yes, also people have been providing handy little guides for Chinese pronunciation. So for instance, this friend here would actually be called Qingtao, because the Q is pronounced as cha. So I'll try and remember that. But if I forget, know that I do know, I'm just an idiot. Didn't know there was a song like that. Is this the first time you've heard of it too, Hongler? He's a posh git from a posh family. I doubt he's ever set his precious feet in the back street, so it's no wonder he's never heard anything like it. I have been to the back streets before, but Heathcliff isn't wrong. I did spend most of my time in my room. That is precisely because you are the most treasured one of them all, young master. Much like how the jade of the greatest worth is to be cherished, prized, and hidden in the deepest depths of one's coffers where none shall reach. Indeed. Otis is like, I don't sound like that. Do I sound like that? No, I don't sound like that. No. Do I sound like that? I'm like him? To a lesser degree, particularly as of late. So that guy used to work for the Jia family, huh? Do you know him, Hongler? Young master, is there something on my face? Hongler stopped himself as though a thought flashed in his head and glanced quietly in my direction. Then, it's nothing. Shall we continue walking down this road? Indeed, humble as I may be, I am very well versed in the roads of this area. Hongler shook his head at me as he casually changed the subject. Surprisingly, A, smooth, and B, tactful for Hongler. It was as though he was trying to hide something we know from Qingtao. Should we be suspicious of something? Stop talking, Dante. He is a collaborator, but only a temporary one. A degree of caution would be advisable. Yeah, he could have his own agenda, certainly. Given Pilot's cleric's inexperience and naivete, would we do well to remain suspicious of this character? Faust and Otis approached me as Hongler was nodding along and chatting amicably with our guide. You'll have to forgive my voice, my throat is packing in a little bit. I don't think I'm ill, I think I'm just straining it a bit. I'm trying to do like 3 recordings today. Well, looking back at our journey so far, I think we learned our lesson about blindly trusting every collaborator we come across. I know that isn't just referring to Canto 1, because, you know, there has been more than one occasion where this has been a thing, but a lot of references to Canto 1 in this one, huh? With this growing mistrust in mind, I slowly made my distance from the guide before asking Faust the burning question. The fact of the matter is that thought process is probably more likely prompted by Canto 7, because of little fuckhead who, Ryoshu disarmed. Hugo? I think his name was Hugo? I don't even remember. Gotta hand it to him, though, he made it further than I thought he would. So what was that about back there with Virgilius? Something about him going off to help them out? The consequences of his actions at Wuthering Heights. Oh, yes. Oh, his actions were a violation of one of the more important items in his contract with the company. He is simply taking responsibility for the breach of contract. I think back to the incident at the manor. It feels like such a long time ago now. It does, and yet it was the hypest thing ever. Well, that's kind of a bummer. He really helped us out of a pickle. What? That's what they're dragging him away for? Is there a problem, honored guests? Nothing to do with you, sharp. It's nothing. Nothing at all. No problemo, right, Ryoshu? Oh, it's my beer drinking hand. Shut up, idiot. So, can you carry Heath for a little bit? He's dead tired. It will be done. I'm kind of surprised they called on Ryoshu to do it, because she could have just as easily killed him by accident, which wouldn't have been a big deal, but at the same time, I don't think we want to reveal to Qingtao that we can, resurrect ourselves. Heathcliff, punched in the gut by the hilt of Ryoshu's sword, fell forward right onto Muso's welcoming shoulder. Rhodia? You know the kind of person I hate the most? The kind of dull people who can't read the room. It is frustrating, yes, I'll agree. Don't you feel the same way, Dante? Yeah, absolutely. I nodded enthusiastically as something seemed to imply that she wasn't really asking me a question. I don't think she was about to punch my lights out, but... Rhodia and Ryoshu judged correctly this time. Classified company information must not be discussed in the presence of an outsider. Reminds me of the time he got knocked out cold for a while because he kept asking questions without raising his hands. This guy just doesn't learn, huh? You successfully preserved the secrecy of classified information without spilling blood. I applaud this policy. I did good, didn't I? I'm just not a fan of how they're treating Heathcliff like dirt now. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it in a multitude of ways. On the one hand, Heathcliff treated the entire party like dirt in the first, 3 cantos or so. So, on the one hand, maybe he kind of deserves it a little bit. On the other hand, it feels like they're taking advantage of his newfound good nature. He resolved his issues, he calmed down, he's treating people nicely, and now they're just kind of walking over him, which is a bit shit. If it is no problemo as you say, then that is well indeed. Yet I worry that it appears that the problem has found us anyway. I stopped and looked around, realizing that we were surrounded by a group of people wielding various weapons in their hands. If only we hadn't knocked out Heathcliff. What happened to finding us a safer path? It is likely that my guidance has indeed given us a much safer path away from the more obvious skirmishes. However, to my greatest regret, it appears that the more observant of our enemies have tracked us here. Damn it, what are you even here for? Isn't your job to prevent this exact scenario? Let's leave the finger pointing for later. We're gonna have to take them all down. They must not be allowed to disseminate our current location. Exactly. Where are you slinking off to, Mr. Qingtao? I must regrettably and humbly say that my talents in war are terribly lacking, so I intend to become scarce for a moment. Yet I have the utmost faith in the strengths of our young master and the honored guests in overcoming this adversity. So, toodles, goodbye. Qingtao was already standing so far away from the front lines that he was practically hiding behind me. Faust, anything you can tell us about these enemies? No, but a consultation with the Gesellschaft seems unnecessary if we are to determine whether negotiating with them is an option. They're coming. Merceau, wake Heathcliff up and set them down. It will be done. Is it just going to be rando thugs or is it going to be sweepers? Rando thugs. Okay, but cool ones. Tough-looking stranger with 2 knives. Goddamn, this is a good track, though. They don't even have passives. They're absolutely nothing, which leads me to believe that either there's a ton of them or other people might show up. Either way, this won't be a problem.
그렇게 할게요. 좀잘 될 수 있어.
건드렸겠다. 우와! 목이 피었잖아.
잘 그렇게 무릎 40
되는 건 즐겨.
놈 나와. 참 재미없게.
Beautiful. Absolutely no contest, so I don't think that was intended to be difficult because they had no passives. Hostiles in the immediate vicinity have been eliminated. Our collaborator, who'd been hiding far from the battle, quickly ran up to our side as soon as the fight ended. Are you unhurt, young master? Yeah, I'm totally fine. Of course, our honored guest's martial skills were all exceptionally brilliant, but young master, your light was the brightest even among the incandescent. This humble servant could not hold back his tears at this wondrous sight. To witness such excellent martial arts from none other than the young master himself. What an unexpected surprise. But don't the children of the Jia family undergo all kinds of strict training regimens from childhood? It was simply my assumption the young master had ceased his trainings once he departed the family. Anyways, how do you think they tracked us down anyway? About that, it appears that we weren't exactly tracked down, per se. But perhaps it may be that the ilk who lurk in these parts of the backstreet recognize the young master's venerable countenance. I don't think my face is that well known, although the jade eye is probably a little bit conspicuous. The family hierarchy evaluations are nigh. Every living soul in Hongyan must know the face of the young master who is loved by every elder of the family. It must be that they are under the assumption that you are carrying something of great value. Family hierarchy, huh? Didn't Jia Shun say something about heirs back when? They all assumed wrong then. I didn't bring anything precious that the elders might be looking for. Young master, even now? I just couldn't care less about it, that's all. Besides, many of my siblings are much better fit to be the family hierarch than I am. Well, you just sound really lame all of a sudden now. I don't know. Well, that is indeed a relief. A relief, is it? Well, but of course, it is a highly dangerous endeavor to partake in the hierarch evaluations, so it is of great relief to know that young master is not putting himself in unnecessary danger. Buddy, we've been through about 7 chapters of unnecessary danger in the grand scheme of things. I guess that could be a relief. Sort of. Well, now that we took them all down, there shouldn't be any more on the way, right? Greg, mate, how many people live in a district? And in the back streets, most of them are at least somewhat prone to aggression. I guarantee there will be more. Greg, can we not jinx ourselves for 1 second? Why are you laughing, Ryoshi? Now I'm worried. Please do not concern yourselves any further. We will take a more clandestine path. I guarantee a safe and easy passage to our destination. I still have a hard time buying that. The lay of this place would constitute a perfect place to set up an ambush in most places. Yet you claim this to be the safer path. Yet I must ask you to place your faith in this humble servant, for Hongyan is not like most places. Fine, for now. Otis shut her eyes for a moment, out of retorts, then turned to look at Ishmael. Hey, Ishmael, you must have a pamphlet of this place handy, don't you? No way. You're actually gonna read it? Why else would I ask? No, I mean, how could I not be caught off guard after almost a whole year of getting brushed off by everyone every time I plead with them to read the damn pamphlets? Like, hell, did no one think to... I will find my own intel if you're just going to ramble on and on with your grievances. Alright, fine, here it is. Otis opened the pamphlet and began intently glaring at its text, as though she didn't want to miss even the smallest detail of information in there. Suspicion clear on her knitted brows. Otis is onto something, I think. I don't know shit. We're probably just gonna get jumped over and over again.
다들 고생했다.
We have many sweeper goo. Oh boy, I suspect that this person, Qing Tao, has been sent to lead us into a sweeper ambush. Because they're like, yeah, that's a good way to get rid of a political rival. Because the sweepers clean up all the evidence, right? It's even referenced in the pages, you know, the page lore bits. I dare say, the page lore bits in Runa, you remember? We were on a desperate run. All the while fighting off hordes upon hordes of enemies. Wow, did it actually get that bad? Oi, what happened to safe and easy passage? Explain this shite. It appears that the young master's radiant countenance was made known. I thought we were finding a more clandestine passage. How come we're getting jumped by even more enemies? As I have said, the young master's radiant. At least try to give a little variation to your excuses. I cannot so easily say that he is being untruthful, given the disjointed allegiance of the enemies attacking us. Otis played with the pamphlet in her hand, clearly frustrated but unable to establish anything concrete. Like Odile trying to call out Sifrin's bullshit. For people without a clear allegiance to attack a member of the Jia family. Looks like everyone in the backstreets has been getting pretty plucky while I was away. Back then, I couldn't even catch a glimpse of their faces. They'd all be on their hands and knees whenever we walked past. Oh, what a wonderful change. Oh, shove that wonderful change up your ass, you bloody loon. How much longer till we get there? My Kajan? I'm gonna say that and I'm probably wrong. My Kajan is near, calm your worries. Our guide seems oddly calmer now than he did at the beginning of this journey. Did he really get numb to all the violence that fast, or... Speaking of which, what's a Kajan? It is a term commonly used to refer to taverns, inns, or equivalent places of lodging in this region. Oh yeah, because he owns, like, a inn, I think. Housing. Something. Look, it was a couple days ago, right? And I didn't ask. I was just told by him or Pilot. House place people sleep in, potentially. Lodging, huh? Like a hotel? Oh, it's gotta be pretty fancy then, huh? Do they serve like complimentary snacks and drinks like the warp train? What do you think? We're in the back streets. Not sure about that, but it seems like Kajans also serve alcohol and food alongside their lodging services. Maybe we can get a meal in there. And, hopefully we won't be attacked there like this. Oh, we definitely will be. Residential non-aggression taboo. Ah, any mutual acts of violence inside a residential building is, within this particular area and floor of Hongyan, a taboo. A taboo we may rest easy within then. I saw Faust's eyebrows slightly twitch, as though she had just heard the most ridiculous thing, but I guess I'll ask her about it later. Oh man, if it's for some kind of family hierarchy or family head selection contest, why couldn't they save all this fighting until then? Because it would be too late. Huh? Late how? Every hierarch candidate must have brought incredibly precious treasures with them. It would be nice if they believed that their own treasure is the most precious of them all, but everyone's going to try and take each other's just to be sure. I see, just in case someone else brought something even better than their own. Then I walk in there with a fucking Nintendo GameCube and they just make me head of the family, because nothing's more valuable than a Nintendo GameCube. It had Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Metroid Prime, and Mario Sunshine, which I actually liked quite a lot, and Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, and Defender. It had so many good games. And unlike a PS2, which was my primary console at the time, but unlike a PS2, it had 4 controller ports, so you didn't need a multi-tap for, so you could play 4-player. Mario Kart Double Dorsch. The entirety of Kanto 8 is going to be everyone trying to get their hands on the Nintendo GameCube. And it turns out that Hongle's Eye is actually one of the last remaining discs for Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. And might as well kill them too for the sake of convenience. Is that how the folks of your family think? What kind of line of thinking is that? Extreme political efficiency? But other families didn't seem too different from mine. Damn. The deepest apologies for intruding upon this most enthralling conversation, however, we may be inviting even further trouble by dallying here. With that, the guide pulled out a watch, checked the time. It will be nighttime soon. Yes, nighttime soon. Yes, nighttime soon. The time when the janitors come out to play. 10 more enemies. You know what? Not concerned.
되는 건 즐겁네요. 되는 건 즐겁네요.
잘
왜 이렇게 크는 데?
그렇게 무르진 않네. 꽤잘
놈 나와!
Nice. No threat to us, and how hard can these sweepers be? I mean, really, they only had some of the best pages in Library of Ruin. Now we are here. Is this the place? After running through alleyway after alleyway, after turning corner after corner, we finally come across the sight of several small buildings, tightly built next to one another. At the center of them was a building lit with red lamps, adorned with a door plate with complicated-looking letters scribbled over it. There's shoddier than I expected. Hey, isn't this place a bit too trashy to house your precious young master? Not nearly enough beer in here. That is not our building. Please look this way to see where our honored guests will be staying for the night. It's gonna be like a tent. I knew it! I heard so much from Honglu about all the splendor, We followed Qingtao's finger and arrived at a small warehouse of sorts, its exterior painted in black. That looks even smaller than even Mephistopheles. Can we all even fit in there? Hey, that place looks trashy as heck, even for us, let alone your young master. This is the nearest Kajan we could afford to stay in, at least among the ones that I manage, yet its location in the back streets heavily limits the level of decency it can afford. My deepest and sincerest apologies, young master. Don't worry, we can't always sleep in decent places. It looks just fine for an overnight stay to me. Are you nuts? Can that thing even fit all of us in there? Much did I wish to guide the honored guests to the family mansion in the central zone. However, the time... Oh, the sweeping wave. Yes, yes. Doesn't that start at 3:13 in the morning? I feel like we've got plenty of time to get there. Exactly. Don't we have more than enough time to get to the family mansion? Okay, so, right. As someone who has spent many an evening, both in his youth and adulthood as well, actually, going on like nights out, getting fucking drunk as hell and being like, okay, well, we can either literally just sit around and wait till morning, at which point the buses are running again so we can go home, or we can make a ridiculous trek, which is dangerous because it's dark and we're drunk and walking by roads, to find somewhere more comfortable to sleep for the night. What are we gonna do? And we almost always went for the latter. It's not a good idea, it's not recommended, but you do it anyway because for some of us, especially those of us who have trouble sleeping, like have genuinely hard time sleeping, you will make the effort to get a nice place to sleep, if possible, or at least a decent place to sleep. So I see where they're coming from here, and I see exactly how this is going to go. Because as they're saying, like, oh, we could totally get there in time, they're obviously not taking into account the fact that we're going to get jumped by 50 million gang members, or that people might be trying to slow us down, intentionally, so that we get eaten, or whatever. But I get it. I get it. I do get it. I understand. I feel it. I once had to sleep in my mate's car on fucking, like, New Year's Eve evening / New Year's Day morning, when it was like -6 outside and we didn't have the heating on because, you know, it uses fuel. Absolutely miserable. I didn't sleep that night at all. I'd have rather have walked home. And from there, that would have been about 2 hours. I would have happily done it though. According to the H-Corp travel guide, the central area is only like an hour away from here. Has the honored guest traveled to District 8 before? Well, no, this is my first time here, but then one must ask how the honored guest could claim to have the full understanding of a place merely by flipping through a book when she hasn't had to contend with it in person. Innumerable unpredictable changes await in this teeming jungle of buildings, the ever-shifting structures, the constantly changing paths, ambushes from foolish yet vicious syndicates, or even offices of the backstreet. Oh, we are beset by danger from all sides. Such bold, flippant approach to predicting the phenomena of this place is to court death. Even a toddler must know that. One fails to disguise his utter sorrow at the inadequacy of her wisdom. Damn. You should feel, you should consider yourself lucky that this is post Canto 5. Is it just me, or are we all thinking back to Ishmael at the Great Lake? Zip it, Dante. But if the guidebook lists a path, does it not imply that it is technically possible to reach there in time? Otis suddenly took a step forward. In her hand was a H-Corp travel pamphlet that Ishmael was talking about. I have faith that if our executive manager would lead us in your directionally challenged stead, they would be able to lead us to our destination before night falls. Me? This does not appear to have been discussed beforehand. Very well, allow me to speak freely without frills. My responsibility is to bring the honored guests to the central zone and to ensure the young master's safety. It is indeed technically possible to reach the family mansion before the night in the back streets commences. Technically. Yet, not even one iota of danger to the young master shall be permitted. The mission that has been so graciously bestowed upon this humble servant is not to guide the young master with haste, but to guide him with the utmost safety. Oh! It is said that those engaging in strategies and plans must remain wary of losing their sight or their purpose. To stubbornly forge on toward the family mansion in lieu of necessary intel, to see when these mobs of assailants would end, is to wrongly prioritize the journey over the destination. You! Oh, you! Wonderful, truly impressive. You have all the qualities of someone I would trust my life with when devising a stratagem. This is the most fitting attitude for those who genuinely wish for the best for those they serve. Really? You're just gonna start going along with him all of a sudden? I have misunderstood your intentions, truly. It's very out of character for Otis. They sparked by ire by comparing some of your choice words with my very own. Yet now my eyes have been opened to the honest loyalty that lies within your heart. Yeah, she's playing him. She's absolutely playing him. Ha ha ha! This humble servant did not imagine even in his wildest dreams that there would be someone who understands. Sorry. The fathoms of his loyalty. It seems that young master has certainly gained an ally an eye for allies and fellowships is a cause for much relief in my heart. You'll notice I'm voicing them both very similarly. For reasons. Ha ha ha! Listen to him. This one knows how to jest. They're having a little verbal sparring match. They're basically best buds now, huh? I may have lost my cool for a moment there. Anyway, this man speaks true. It is highly likely that we would be exposed to attacks of similar nature were we to continue moving at this time. She's just fully on his side now, isn't she? That's when I realized she was looking in my direction. The exaggerated smile had all but completely faded from her face, replaced with an odd but dead serious expression. When our gazes locked, she nodded. She must be completely turned around by that guy. Is this her way of saying, so long, I'm gonna quit and go work with this guy now, thanks for everything? I think, not quite, Dante. I don't think so. I would actually judge Dante in this instance for not understanding Otis properly, unless I'm wrong and I don't understand Otis properly, which is perfectly feasible. But we'll see. And as for this hotel, it is still much better than sleeping in outdoor tent barracks. We should be able to relieve ourselves of some fatigue here before moving on. Did you not earlier insist on continuing our search for a better accommodation with the greatest vehemence, Miss Otis? Yeah, whatever, we get your point. Let's go inside. Oh, my humblest self can only behold your generous acceptance of this insufficient lodging with the deepest gratitude. Oh, after all that serious talk, the man seemed oddly relieved to hear our decision as he brought his fist and palm together. Architecture of today mustn't be judged with such haste merely by an observation of their exterior. The interior may hold aught to be surprised of, worry not. With Rhodia's surrendered, wouldn't that be nice? We made our way into the building. It does look actually pretty nice. Oh, it's actually so bad. Oh, it's clean in here. This place presents a rather classical aesthetic. The landscape paintings lining the walls give off a rather sophisticated mood. And it's much more spacious inside than it looks from the outside. Do they use some kind of space expansion technology in here too? No, it seems that the building only appeared small due to the density of structures in proximity. Well, the door is now open should my presence be required. I shall be in the small shed next to this building. Please do converse freely about all details you wish to ever talk about, and your deepest secrets. Everything. Don't worry, I definitely won't hear it. The man smiled awkwardly and quietly excused himself as the excitement among the sinners began to grow. Maybe they owe him a slight apology? Probably not, though, in the grand scheme of things. Meanwhile, Honglu stood a fair distance from the guide, quietly watching his face as he left. His expression was enigmatic, as if he were gazing upon the clouds, the flowers, or even the wind. Yet there was no light in those eyes. It was as if they beheld a storm cloud, a desolate field of wilted flowers, and a howling, destructive gale. Do you suspect something, Honglu? So I decided to ask. Not yet, I don't think. Huh? Not yet? So, big brother, something fell off to you too, huh? Yay! That's when we caught a familiar voice. Yeah, I told you I had a feeling we'd be seeing each other again very soon, and Buddy Dude Cool Person also made it, so that's good. Have you been well, young master? I'm so glad to see you're doing well, Mr. Wei. Oh, don't tell me you're staying here too, Zishun. I normally wouldn't ever set foot in a place like this, but ran into some kind of large-scale construction on my way back to the family mansion. Had to come in through the back streets, so we weren't the only ones troubled by that random construction site. Oh, hail to thee! The confident look on Zishun's face was immediately replaced by that of alarm. Did she lose her memories again? Is she with you? No, Don Quixote is the same as always. But she looks like such an airhead. Young Zishun, well, wouldst thou accompany me to the lounge but a moment so that we may share a moment of catching up? Oh, yeah, actually, let's do that. Hold on. Just shouldn't seem to hesitate for a moment, staring at Don Quixote after hearing that her memories were intact, before walking right up to her. I like that idea. Shall we? Wait, why don't you go find a room for me to stay in while I talk some things out with her? Huh? Well, you wanted to do some catching up, right? 'Tis, Manager Esquire. Loss of critical personnel may be a cause for disciplinary action, Dante. I don't think there's anything wrong with making friends, though. Looks like Zishun really likes Don Quixote if she's comfortable enough to tease her like that. It's not Don Quixote she likes, she obviously just wants Don Quixote's power she saw back then. My lady, this is hardly the appropriate place for... Fine, I'll try again later. Go get some sleep, I'm heading in too. Zishun sighed with a bit of disappointment before heading into the lobby. Well, let's all head inside now. So I and the rest of the sinners followed her into the lodging. Oh, good job, Hongler, goddamn. So I guess you could probably take a blood fiend's power. It's probably not unprecedented, is it? It's probably happened. It's probably how Vergilius became what he is. Don't know, I know nothing about that. The sound of suspicion. Everyone was busy looking around and commenting on various things in our lodging, but Sinclair appeared to be the most anxious of them all. Sinclair? Something in here stands out, like, imagine an ideal picture. Did you call? And he's smiling as well. You smug little bastard. Oh, I missed that joke he sang. Good times. That's not what I'm not... Anyway, am I the only one who feels like something stands out like a sore thumb from the whole picture? Oh yeah, glad you brought it up. And I like how Yi-Sang's no longer interested in the discussion. He literally popped up to make the joke and he's like, alright, I'm off. Have a good one, lads. See you later. I didn't say anything because I thought it was just me. Rhodia? So what's so off about this place then? Isn't it obvious? Where'd all the complimentary snacks go? What's that weird mystery table at the center of this room? That might be all we're getting, I'm afraid. I'm pretty sure that's all we're getting, I'm afraid. That is kind of weird though. What's that table doing there? Its saturated colors are quite the pleasant sight to behold. So is it any better inside? What the hell is that hideous table? The kerfuffle sparked by the... I love that they use the word kerfuffle. Sparked by the particularly unsightful piece of indoor furniture calmed somewhat once everyone made it inside the building. Of course, no one is able to discern the real purpose of that table yet. Every step on the floor leaves black residue on the shoes. Not only the floor, touching the walls leaves an unidentified black substance on one's fingers. Not to mention how the walls ripple in an odd fashion. What could possibly be the construction of this structure? Well, my guess is that the maintenance staff's been slacking. Maybe, but why is everything so neatly organised if that's the case? I've been to enough seedy establishments to tell when a place has gone a while without a tidy up. But at least it appears that each room is furnished with a bed. While this is far from optimal, Executive Manager, we may be able to rest here. I guess I really didn't have the time to clean up. Jiaxi Shun, the last person to walk in after having taken her time to examine the area outside the lobby, stared blankly around the room with an aghast expression. I'm not even sure what to say to this ridiculous negligence. Then found her room after leaving a scathing remark. Oh, it ain't the first time we've sauntered right into some shady business, innit? Let's just cross that bridge when we come to it, yeah? It's better than dealing with sweepers. Oh, I guess anyone could tell that there was definitely something wrong about that guy. Some sinners, including Heathcliff, had already slumped to the floor, vociferously expressing their desire to rest with a collective sigh of exhaustion. Well, it is pretty weird, but at least we have a roof over our heads. In that case, Dante, perhaps this may be a good time to announce today's close of business. Huh, never made this announcement outside the boss before. Alright, I hereby confirm today's close of business for the sinners. Understood, thank you kindly. Sign now, you'll all be given a maximum of 12 hours to partake in sleep and rest. The duration is subject to change. Have a good night. As soon as she finished, the sinners each began to relax in their own ways, some stumbling into their rooms while others lingered to speculate over the bizarre table at the center of the room. Save for Otis, that is. Got something to say, Otis? Yes, Executive Manager, it is about our guide, Qingtao. Oh, your new best friend from earlier? Seemed like you guys were getting along pretty well. What? That is simply untrue. Did you not see the signal I gave you earlier? You know, the one that everyone clocked onto, except for Dante? And by everyone, I mean everyone playing. The problem is they've never discussed anything like this before. So Dante has no fucking idea. What signal? Oh, you mean when you nodded slightly in my direction? Indeed, that individual has an informational advantage over us when it comes to this locale. Regardless of how sound the accusations we came up with were, he would have been able to explain them away using his familiarity with the region. I thought, as the party with an informational disadvantage, it would be wise to feign camaraderie and friendship with that individual and go along with their plans while trying to dig out as much intel as possible. I seriously thought that suspicious guy totally won you over. I suspect, knowing fuck all about the Odyssey and having not read it, so you might be like, it's obvious because this happens in the Odyssey, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't read it, so I don't know. I don't even think this relates to it necessarily. It might be more of a Limbus aspect of it, but we'll see. Lack of trust. Because Otis has been fairly shady from day one and continues to be fairly shady, and I think that lack of trust will be a significant factor when it comes to Otis's Kanto. Maybe. Or maybe it won't be. Maybe they'll just rip off the book. But they've never ripped off the book before, as far as I can tell, so I don't know why they'd start now. There is a problem I have, a little bit, when I'll do, like, speculation, and I'll be like, oh, it could be this, or it could be like that, or it could be like this, and people are like, well, there's nothing like that in the book, and I'm like, you realize this isn't the book, right? You realize this is not the book. It's inspired by, taking reference from, perhaps even based on the pieces of literature that these characters come from, but it is not a one-to-one copy. Unless you can find me the page in Moby Dick where they do the fucking Marlin dance. Or how about the bit in Wuthering Heights where Heathcliff turns into a giant wolf? Executive manager, I've been in this business for many years. How could you even imagine that I would be fooled by an amateur spy who's so overtly it's nothing. Otis's disappointment was palpable, but she stopped herself as though she remembered that there were more important matters at hand. While it is uncertain as to how long that individual will be accompanying us, it would be reasonable to speculate that he approached the LSCCB with the explicit purpose of eliminating Honglu. Jia Baoyu. Baoyu? Jia Baoyu? Yeah. I present the fact that it was Pilot, that inexperienced greenhorn, who somehow conveniently came across his connection, as another evidence supporting this suspicion. He's very green, Executive Manager. That's also true. Faust also has information to share as usual. Faust joined the conversation after listening to us discuss for some time. A review of every known taboo has failed to identify one he called residential non-aggression taboo that universally prohibits acts of violence within residential areas. And that also has to be. It is too early to come to conclusions regarding that matter. It appears that this area, Hongyan, has taboos that change depending on your location within its territory. However, considering every other circumstantial evidence, we can come to a conclusion that he was most likely lying to us. Your assessment cannot be denied. In that case, we must already be deep within the enemy's machinations. The constant stream of random assailants we faced earlier was also most likely a part of their plan. It may very well be that this building itself is also a trap, yet we lack the intelligence about this particular backstreets to be certain. However, we do have one minor advantage. It seems that they have severely underestimated our capabilities, given the low caliber of the assailants they decided to send after us. One thing we can capitalize on is that mutual lack of intel. Keep our guard up, remain alert, and we should be able to navigate our way out of this trap, Executive Manager. Okay, I get it now. I kind of don't. I'm just gonna do what Otis tells me. I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. Honestly, I didn't know who or what to trust. Then I would appreciate it if you could trust me fully next time. That's the key word, though, isn't it? Otis bowed politely and returned to her room. Faust and I chatted a little more about Qingtao and his plans, but our discussion ended without bearing much fruit. Well, in the interest of keeping these of a reasonable length, I'm going to basically just do like 3 parts each time, so that's all for today, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I like how they tend to, like every character's progression and big moments, or their character progression leading up to their cantos especially, is always a slow burn. And like, I already know that, but I appreciate how subtle it is a lot of the time that I don't realize it until it's more overt. Like by the time I recognize it and I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing. It's like they've been shoving the character in our face for like half a intervallo or so by now. But like, yeah, leading up to even Canto 7, we were getting more about Honglu. Leading up to, or indeed going through Canto 4, we were getting a lot more about Ishmael. I like it because I can tell they're doing it, you know, like there's a formula, I can see it, I can figure it out. The formula isn't 100% cast iron, but it's there. But it is done tactfully that it's not obvious. You're not like, it's rare few occasions where you sit there and go, okay, they're shoving the character in our face. The only time I can think of where that was genuinely probably the case was the Christmas one, you know, I can't remember what it's fucking called, but the Christmas one, you know, where they go find an outfit for Heathcliff. But I feel like that gets away with it because the entire purpose of that canto is to set up Heathcliff's canto. Sorry, the whole point of that intervallo is to set up Heathcliff's canto, right? It's all about that, basically, including the scene where, you know, Dante's trying to figure out a little bit more about the nature of the relationship between Heathcliff and Kathy. So when it is more overt, it makes sense. It feels logical. Like, we're getting a lot of Hong Luo right now. Of course we are. We're in his district. We're going to his family home. Our guide served his family. Of course, Hong Luo is going to be front and center, and even then, he's not that front and center. But we're also getting a lot of Otis now. Like, Otis is taking more of a front seat in this particular scenario, which is great. It's genuinely interesting. I like the way it's done. It's subtle when it needs to be and overt when it's necessary. I appreciate that. But that's some very boring post-episode talk, and that's all from me for today. Friends, thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to our members and patrons: Miscreant, Taraki Riku, Crescent, Sunny the Horse, Cryolytic, Lila Hexire, Abyssal Angie, Hotraman, Saga, Jack, The Elf Lord, Ninja Dog, Emma Fox, Grand Captain General Peace, Meanbag Beanbag Tussle, Malignant Humor, Cuds, Kana Samaria, Poe, Porchop Lebrec, Lifesteal, Megavista Z-Man, Unclever Name, Summercat, Fanny, Pinch Goon, Lipotatoes, Proxy, Caminera, Moa, Heartland, Harik J, Dresso, Sion, Distance, Lol, Etherpin, Linky, Xeon, Zeta, Binboard, Alkia, Honeydew, Sweetberry, Regis, Kitty, Plutonium Pie, Dreamy Ghost, Apollo by K-Bub, Magic Owl, The Frostbite Monsoon, SB106A, Namad, and Kenny 100 for supporting me on YouTube and on Patreon. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you all so much for watching. I know it sounded like I was being fairly dismissive of people who refer to the literature in regards to these characters. I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I think it's cool that people even sought out these books and read them for the purposes of playing Limbus Company. Like, once they got into it, they're like, all right, cool, I'm going to track down like Moby Dick and Wuthering Heights and the Odyssey and all that and learn about these characters. I think that's very cool. What bothers me is that when people are like, okay, well, the literature that this comes from is gospel and basically dictates everything that will happen. And I'm like, it might. Maybe it will. Maybe it does. Maybe it has been. Maybe it will be. But at least acknowledge the possibility that it might vary quite significantly. You know, it annoys me when when trying to speculate and people are like, well, that didn't happen in the book. And I'm like, of course it fucking didn't. The city doesn't exist in that book either. What of it? I don't know. It does get on my nerves a little bit, but it doesn't matter that much. It's just a personal grievance. But if you're like, oh yeah, I read all the fucking books and like to prepare for Limbus, or even if you were just like, I read all the books and then played Limbus and it was a fucking marvelous surprise, that's great. That's super cool. I'm glad. That must be a really cool way to experience it. I'm glad you're doing that. I choose not to. Like, I could track down those books, but I don't want to because I don't want to know anything going in. I've talked about this a million fucking times. But why would I want to know everything about a character's character arc or their themes before engaging with them? What's the point? What is the point in that? You're already removing half the fucking joy of discovery and surprises for yourself. Like, if you want to do it, fair enough, but it annoys me when people assume that's what I want, and they go, well, obviously that's not going to be a thing, Foreman, because that's the book is about this, and I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I don't know. It's a bit of a rant, and I do apologize for it, but it's something that's always bugged me, I suppose. I'm like, just chill. I know that's a ridiculous thing to say to the internet, I know, but chill, relax, just enjoy a media or a piece of media for what it is. You can look into it further if you want, but don't necessarily try and get everyone else to look into it as hard as you do. I talk about Limbus to my friends sometimes, but I don't try and get them to fucking engage with it because they're not interested, and that's fine. Fine by me. And I, by extension, I'm not particularly interested in tracking down classic literature and reading them. And that's fine. I'll experience the game my way. It's all good. But that's all from me for today. Apologies for the post-episode ramble. Whatever happens next time, hope I see you there. Toodles. Goodbye.